Okay, so we are graphing tangent 1/2 x plus 1. So the first thing we're always going to do is the period length. Okay, so we could think about our graph. It's an XY graph just like normal. We're going to do period length first. So since it is a tangent graph, we got to think, okay, tangent graph, I'm eating less pi, so our period length is 1 pi. Okay, then we take that number and multiply by the reciprocal, whatever's in front of our x. So if it says 1/2, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal, 2 over 1, and our period length is now 2 pi. Once I have figured out my period length, the next thing I'm going to do is make my scale. So from asymptote line, center, to asymptote line. Okay, this just helps us to understand what's going on. If the period length is 2 pi, that means going from one side of the graph to the other, from one asymptote line to the other, that means it is 2 pi across. If that's true, then going from the center dot to the asymptote line, it is 1 pi. Okay, again, that's just a scale. It helps me to make my drawing. Once we've done period length, now we're going to do our checklist. The next thing on our checklist is to find the vertical shift. The +1 tagged on the end is going to vertically shift my graph up 1. So right here, my graph is moved up to 1. Okay, nothing fancy. All I do is label it 1. Once I've gone up 1, okay, the next thing I'm going to do is make my first point. So my first point on my graph, I got to think, okay, in the center of my graph, on that y-axis, it's a tangent graph. So either one of two things is going to happen. Either I'm going to have an asymptote line like this, or the center dot. Okay, think again, tangent graph, we tan in the middle, so in the middle, we're going to have a point. So right here in the center of my graph, I'm going to have a point right there at 1. Okay, well if I have a point at 1, then on either side of it, just like down below here, just like here, we're going to either have an asymptote on both sides. So from that graph, I'm going to draw an asymptote line over here. Okay, and on the right side of that dot, I'm also going to have one. Those are not real straight, but you get the idea. Okay, once we have graphed it, we have our point and our two asymptotes. Now we're going to label it. So again, we're going to use our scale down here to help us understand it. So as I look at this scale, and the scale tells me that from one asymptote to the other it's 2 pi, and from the center over it's 1 pi. So using that, we're going to say, okay, well if that's true, to go from the center, which is right there, to the asymptote line, I better label this asymptote line pi. And if I go pi to the right, that means I got to go pi to the left. So this second asymptote line over here, I'm going to label as negative pi. Okay, there's that. The last thing I'm going to do is actually graph it. So when I graph it, I think it is a tangent graph. So I either start down and go up or start up and go down. And since it's tangent, I'm going to get more tan as I go. So I start low and I S-curve through the center and I'll end high. There we go. There's my tangent graph.